Oh, welcome everyone to Mental Iron. I am Lesley Timbol. Just finished my episode with Dave Palumbo on iron therapy. We were talking about hypergymnasia, or another word for it is sports anorexia. In fact, there's another term for it, and it's called anorexia athletica. So regardless, I'm going to be interchanging more of the terms hypergymnasia and sports anorexia. I want to just quickly tell you guys what is the difference between sports anorexia and anorexia. Anorexia is an eating disorder that is in the DSM-5. The DSM-5 is a manual that mental health professionals use in order to make a diagnosis. And hey, Promo, how you doing? Nice to see you. Guys, anytime you have questions, comments, put them in the link, please. But welcome. So I'm just talking about the differences between anorexia and sports anorexia. Anorexia is in the DSM-5 as an eating disorder. It is recognized as an eating disorder, and it focuses on body image. Now, sports anorexia, even though it's considered an eating disorder, is not in the DSM-5. And the reason why it's not in the DSM-5 is because if you put sports athletica, or in this case, sports anorexia, into the DSM-5, the statistics on how many people would have it would skyrocket, because most athletes have this. I'm not talking about just bodybuilders. I'm talking about athletes. And I'm going to distinguish a little bit later on in this chat what makes some athletes have this and some athletes don't have it. I'm good, thanks to you. Missed a few live streams. Hey, Promo, no problem. Anytime you can join live, you're welcome. And you can always watch the lives after, because I appreciate this is in the afternoon. This is, 2:45-ish Eastern Standard Time. And some people work. So, I appreciate anyone who can join live. It's awesome. And if you can't, you can always watch it after the fact. And even if you watch it after the fact and you have questions, just put them in the comments below once this gets posted, because I always look at the comments and respond. So, as far as, because we're taught, I want to go back to this exercise part. We're taught exercise is good for us. So the question was, is it possible that you can exercise too much? And the answer is yes. But let me talk a little bit about how do you define excessive exercise? And in this case, when we're talking about hypergymnasia or sports anorexia, it's having 2 hard training sessions in a day, every day. So when I'm talking training sessions, I'm not talking cardio. Now, I'm not saying cardio can't be hard, but training is very different, the weight training. So there are people who will do a weight training session in the morning, they'll go to work, and in the evening, they'll do another body part. So let's say they do maybe chest in the morning, as an example. They go to work, and then in the evening after dinner, maybe they do another body part. Maybe they do, I don't know, they might do, it would be ideal if they could do something not as a big body part. Like, you wouldn't want to do legs necessarily in the morning. If anything, if you're going to do legs in the morning, maybe you could do calves or something in the evening. I'm not talking about that kind of split. Now, if you are doing that split, if you're spending like 2.5 hours in the morning, you're not going to spend 2.5 hours in the evening. That would be considered excessive. Or if you're doing let's say more than 2 weight training sessions a day, that's not necessary. And again, I'm not saying cardio, if you're doing 2 weight training sessions and a cardio session, that's the total of 3, but that's not considered excessive. It's amount of time when you're actually doing the weight training. And if you're unsure, to say, hey, Lesley, I don't know if I might be doing an hour and a half. Depends on the body part. Because let's say if you're doing an hour and a half on triceps, first of all, you shouldn't have to do an hour and a half on triceps, okay? Triceps are not a big muscle. If you want to do an hour and a half of biceps and triceps combined with some stretching and rolling in there, okay. Even that, and again, with stretching and rolling, an hour and a half. You don't need an hour and a half to do biceps and tris, by the way. But it's about, we're talking about characterized by, excessive and compulsive exercise. So let me go to the compulsive piece. When I say compulsive, Oh, promos in the evening. Cool. That's right, because of the time difference. I love talking to people all over the world because I get a chance to talk to people that I wouldn't normally get to talk to because if I always stayed in the Eastern Standard Time. So that's really cool. But okay, so hypergymnasia is characterized by excessive and compulsive exercise. But this is where they can't stop exercising to the point of they start missing out on things such as meals. Because you'll hear people where they're saying, well, I'm really busy in my day. I've got to work, let's say the household, the kids, getting my workouts in. I'm super busy. Okay. But there's that point of I missed a meal because I have to do another training session. Well, do you necessarily need to do that training session if you're missing a meal? If anything, if you have to get your cardio in and get something fast digesting, like a shake, and then you can do your cardio maybe 45 to 60 minutes later. But it's really important, guys, not to overdo it. And it gets to the point with people with sports anorexia, they no longer enjoy working out. They're just going through the motions. They're doing it because they have to. I'm putting that in air quotes. They feel this compulsion that they have to work out. And why do they have this compulsion? Let's talk about the causes. Some of the causes are in order for me to perform better. Now, if I'm a bodybuilder, maybe I'm working on trying to get more conditioned. So in order to get conditioned, I got to do another cardio session. Well, check with your coach first. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But are you going to necessarily do 3 or 4 cardio sessions in a day? I hope not. Because if you are at that point and you're getting ready for a show and you have to do 3, let's say, and we're talking 1-hour cardio sessions, there's something wrong with your diet. It's not the cardio, it's your diet. Something is wrong with the diet. And you may not be cheating on the diet, but maybe your macros are messed up and you need to change it because let's say your metabolism has slowed down for some reason. We got to look at that. Or maybe it's spun up. We have to feed you more carbs. Bottom line, have a coach that can help you with your nutrition and exercise to keep you on track. And please, guys, please try to be honest with your coach. I know, they might chew your head off, but they're trying to, if you have a good coach, they have your best interests at heart. They just want you to stay on plan and be honest. If they say do 45 minutes of cardio, don't do an hour. Do 45 minutes because when you check in with them, that's what they're basing it on. They're basing it on you following with the plan. If you're fucking up the plan or doing your own version of the plan and you don't tell them, they don't know if you're not changing. They're thinking what they're doing is working. Okay? So it's really important to be honest with your coaches. The other thing is that when you're over-exercising, this is also when you can become injured or you're more prone to get sick because your immune system is down because you're taxing it with these types of workouts constantly. So when you might start enjoying, like in the beginning of this process, you might enjoy working out, but then the joy becomes, like I said, a task that feels that you have to do this kind of thing. And let me go into the causes of why that would be. A lot of times, it's not necessarily that you're born into it. Now, there can be a genetic component. So if someone in your family does have this hypergymnasia, you are more prone to get it. Are you guaranteed to get it? No, but you're more prone to get it. So there's a bit of a genetic component, but there's also an environmental component. If you have a coach, now I don't want this mental iron is a lot about bodybuilding or people in the fitness community. This applies to any athletic though, any kind of sport. There are people in, let's say, running. When I was talking to Dave on Iron Therapy, we were talking about runners. You can run faster. You can improve your performance if you're lighter. So your coach might say, hey, you need to lose weight so you can bump up your time. So you can complete this race or this marathon in a faster time, in a faster time frame. If you're in, let's say you're in gymnastics, you'll be able to do your maneuvers a lot more cleanly and more easily if you lose weight. So we can get pressure, let's say, from other people. We can put pressure on ourselves, but we can get pressure from other people as well, especially because, like I said, one of the differences between anorexia and sports anorexia is it's based on performance. How do I improve my performance? If I work harder, if I train harder, I'll get better results. That's the idea. And I'm not saying again, take this, we're talking about extremes here. I'm not saying don't train hard, but I'm saying there's a limit where people can push that too far. And if you push that limit too far when you're training, you're going to end up hurting yourself. Or like I said, even if you don't get injured, because your immune system is so taxed, you can be around someone with something like a cold or whatever. I'm not even talking about the C word right now, but you can get sick. You can get sick. And then you won't be able to work out at all, but it's miserable. And then someone with this kind of condition, it can lead to mental illness. So it can lead to anxiety. It can lead to stress. It can lead to pressure. And keep in mind, social media, we all know the power of social media. Social media is huge and is a big part of why people can develop sports anorexia as well. Oh, welcome, Joe. Thank you. And thanks for your contribution on iron therapy. Really appreciate that. And I'm glad. And by the way, Joe, or anyone who's joined on or watching this channel, if you guys have questions on, what we're talking about, or actually, now keep in mind, when I do this, I'm really focusing on the topic of, in this case, sports anorexia. But if you guys have other topics or have questions outside of this, feel free to put it in the chat. I'm happy. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to answer your questions. So just put it in the chat. But welcome, Joe. Dave, nice to see you. Okay, can you explain the benefits of a good coach? I know I'm old school, but my train buddies used to be brutally honest before a comp. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Joe. Dave, great question. The benefits of a good coach. When you're in prep, and when I say, I don't mean you specifically, Dave, I mean people. When people are in prep, more times than not, when we look at ourselves in the mirror, it's not always accurate. We might look in the mirror because we can be our own worst critics, and we'll be like, we look like shit. We're not conditioned enough. Our muscle bellies aren't, popping. We don't have that 3D look. Guess what? You're not going to at this point. But our coach can keep us on track to say, no, you're actually on track where we want you to go. And if we think we're flat, maybe we're supposed to be flat because we've been on a low carbs for a serious number of days, and we haven't carved up yet. Classic case, peak week. Peak week is a classic case. Now, I'm not saying 100% of bodybuilders. I'm saying more than not, meaning more bodybuilders than not. And I'm one of them. I'll tell you right, Dave, I am one of them. Thank goodness I have a coach. Because if I was my own coach, and I would never be my own coach because I know myself, when it comes to the prep, I can do my mental prep. I can't do the prep as far as the eating. That goes above my head. When I see, and I'm like, well, should I start carving up? If so, how much? How much should I cut back? Because for me, if anything, I would cut back too much. And then sometimes I get like too hungry and then I want to eat more. And it's kind of like, no. Or I want to know, am I allowed to eat almond butter? I love almond butter. Okay. I usually don't get almond butter until the day before the show or maybe the day of the show. Okay, great. Love it. How much can I have? And don't say, just enough to put on a rice cake. Put down, if it's 2 teaspoons, a tablespoon, I bring all my measuring stuff. I need a coach to be very specific so I know, because I just follow the plan. This is the thing about a good coach. You don't have to think. Well, for me, I don't have to think. I just follow the plan. Okay? So when you follow the plan, you don't have to think. And keep in mind, when you're in prep, most people, like myself, again, not all, most people, we don't look in the mirror and see what other people are seeing because we don't feel like we're good enough. And then we don't know necessarily what we're supposed to be doing. Don't talk about the other person in the gym and their coach told them to have 3 rice cakes with jam. That may be good for them, but that may not be good for you. So it's good to have that objective eye, that trained eye. That trained eye, by the way, is not deprived of carbs, because I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Dave, but if you've ever been on low carbs for a certain number of days, there's something that happens to the brain. I call it prep brain. There might be other words for it, but when I'm really low on carbs for a long period of time, my ability to make sense of certain things goes a little bit out the window. I'll give you an example, something really silly. I'll be looking for my glasses, and either I'm wearing them or I'm holding them in my hand. Like, where are my glasses? Like, it's little things like that. Normally, I'm with it, but when I'm really low carbs and depending on where I am in the day, I may not be able to focus. So it's nice to have, and again, that objective eye to kind of coach me on, you know what, Lesley, you're doing fine. I know you're suffering today, but it's okay. I might give you a higher carb day in a couple of days, so just hang in there. It's kind of nice to know that. Again, you don't have to think. But Dave, if I'm not answering your question, like just maybe ask it maybe a slightly different way, because I want to make sure I'm answering your question properly. Now, you can have, by the way, your training buddies can be honest before competition, great. And they mean well. Keep in mind, when you've gone through a competition, you want to help other people. You don't want to tell them they look great if they don't. But you also don't want to say that they look like shit. What we want to hear is, okay, I like this about you. I don't like, this is something you need to work on, but here's the solution. Now, did your school buddies do that for you, Dave? Were they able to give you the feedback of not just maybe being brutally honest, but what you can do about it? And here's the thing. There's an expression, be careful if you have too many cooks in the kitchen. You can take the best coaches of the world. They can all tell you something different. Who are you going to listen to? Pick one. One coach, one cook. Because if you listen to too many cooks, and I'm not saying these people aren't qualified. Like I said, you can take the best coaches in the world. They have different approaches. But if you start mixing, well, this coach told me this coach or this friend told me this friend told me that, it's going to F with your head. And then you're not going to get the proper results because you're picking and choosing what you're taking from these different people. So forget the too many cooks. One coach. You get a good coach, and yes, they're expensive, but you're paying for their experience. It's a worthwhile investment. You're putting your body and your mind through a lot. You want to look your best. Sometimes if you're going to invest in bodybuilding, competing, get a good coach. It makes such a difference. An opposing coach, I highly recommend as well. I know people are like, well, that's an extra expense. When you're on stage, judges don't care how much you can leg press or how much you can deadlift or how much you can bench. They don't care. They care how you look. How do you present your body? You can have the best body in the world. Someone who doesn't have the best body or has better body parts than you, if they know how to highlight their strengths better than you, they will beat you. It's a fact. If you don't know how to display your body, you can lose placings that way. So I do recommend opposing coach as well. So again, Dave, if I didn't answer your question, please, further ask me questions. And I'll be happy to address them. Tab, nice to see you. Enjoying your podcast while I'm on your lunch. Good. Good. So I hope you're also catching up on all the other videos I've done as well. And if you have any questions, and keep notes, Matt. Keep notes and keep your questions. Keep them all for our session, okay? That's cool. I like it that you're curious, though. That's really important. Okay, don't drive on low carbs, Lesley. You'll cry. Okay, Dave, let me tell you a little story about what happens. I remember one prep that I did. I was really afraid to drive home on a particular, I think this was the beginning of my peak week of one of my shows. And this was, I think, the last day I was going to be at work. And it was a long day because I was trying to get a whole bunch of clients in. And when I was done and I started to get up, I had to sit back down again because I got dizzy. And I was like, how am I going to drive myself home? Because I need carbs right now. And I'm one of those people that when I'm close to show, after I eat a meal, I'll feel hungry. Like I won't feel sad. I won't even feel satisfied. I'll like, where's my next meal? I'm counting down to my next meal because I'm so hungry. So I actually waited a little bit and I was in the right-hand lane. I was driving like an old grandma. I was doing speed limit, but just the speed limit. And I just took my time going home. So it's kind of yes, when you're on low carbs, yes, I actually drive a lot slower and I'm in the right-hand lane a lot. But fortunately, it wasn't rush hour because the way I work when I had an office was I work, later at night. So fortunately now, because a lot of my stuff is remote, I don't have to worry about the driving. The only place I have to drive is to the grocery store and to the gym. So I live that bodybuilding lifestyle that I don't get out much. So that's what I do. I ended up doing the grocery store and the gym. But no, yeah, you have to be careful with the drive for sure. But what I learned from that prep is that sometimes I might need to lighten up my schedule a little bit more than a week in advance. So if I can, I'll do 2 weeks. I'll book 2 weeks off, or I'll try to book 2 weeks. Now, having said that, I'll book 2 weeks off before my show, so peak week in the week before. However, depending on who's calling, what they're calling for, if it can wait till after my show, I'll book them in. If it can't, I will get them in. So I will kind of get some clients in, and especially being remote, it's easier for me to do that. But peak week, I try not to do too many clients just because my carbs do drop drastically, and I only carb up 2 days before. I know a lot of bodybuilders, if it's a Saturday show, they'll be able to start carbing up on a Monday or Tuesday. For me, because of the way my body works, that doesn't work for me. I end up spilling over, so I can only start carbing up. If it's a Saturday show, I start carbing up on Thursday, and sometimes not till Thursday afternoon. Again, it depends on where I'm at. Every show I find is a little different, but no more than 2 days before. And again, that's just my experience. Let's see. Black Dragon, welcome. Welcome to my channel. How did the golden era have such clear skin while on cycle? Is it GH? I don't know. That's a great question. Well, okay, so I don't know a whole lot about growth hormone, to be honest, Black Dragon. I don't use it. I know people who do, and I'm not judging it because I hear wonderful things about it, to be honest. I hear it does do wonders for your skin, among other things, but I don't know about it. As far as how they got clear skin, that's a good question. I don't know, and this is totally a guess. I have no knowledge about this, but I'm wondering if the quality of when they did, for those who did do gear, then if it was more pure than it is maybe today. I don't know. That's a great question. If anyone has any other theories, feel free to post them in the chat. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. As far as, why did the people in the golden era have more clear skin? Do you think it has anything to do with the gear that was being used then versus now? I'm not sure. That's a great question, though. So like I said, if anyone has any thoughts on that, please post it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. Why on low carbs to lose weight, calories in versus calories out? It is calories in versus calories out promo, but it's also the quality. So let me give you an example. If I'm allowed, let's say 300 grams, or sorry, not 300 grams. Let's say I'm allowed 300 calories for my next meal. Okay, so if I'm allowed 300 calories for my next meal, well, I think a chocolate, I don't know how many calories are in a chocolate bar. It's about 300. I can't even remember. It's been a while since I've had a chocolate bar, actually. It's been months. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, a chocolate bar has 300 calories. I'm not going to have a chocolate bar because it's 300 calories that would substitute for a 300 calorie meal. Why? Because one, the macronutrients in what I'm eating right now compared to a chocolate bar, there's no nutrient, there's nothing healthy in a chocolate bar. It tastes really good, mind you, but it's not healthy. So it's not going to do anything for my body. In fact, what it will do, because there's a lot of sugar in chocolate, is that's going to spike it's going to give me, it can make me feel jittery, especially I find that now I love chocolate promo, but the thing is that if I haven't had chocolate in my diet for a long period of time and all of a sudden I have it hits me. The sugar hits me because my body's not used to all this sugar. So it hits me and then I can crash after a period of time. So I get a bunch of energy and then I crash. But the other thing is that for me, sugar, the way my body processes sugar, it makes my stomach, especially my stomach area, very soft. So then I get very bloated, and I don't like that look. So for me, it's not just calories in, calories out. The type of food I eat definitely affects my appearance. Now, there are some people, let's say they have faster metabolisms, their body's more elastic, that they're able to bounce back and they can get away with it. And that's why some people, when they have, now you may have heard these concepts of cheat meals. So when I say cheat meal, I'm talking about a meal that's outside of your food plan that's considered unhealthy. So let me give you an example. Let's say, well, I know some competitors who do burger and fries because that wouldn't be part of their menu. You can go even further. Let's just say chicken wings and beer. Now, I'm not into either one of those, but let's say something more unhealthy, chicken wings and beer. That kind of composition. Now, some people might actually bounce back from it if they've been on low carbs, and that might actually help them. It's because they need those extra calories, and they can be actually what we call dirty calories. And they could be, some people might, I don't know, they'll have, they'll have cheesecake, or they'll have cake, pie, whatever, and their metabolism can eat that up. So there's not a clear one size fits all, because we all have, depending on your gender, your age, your family history, your metabolism, what you've been eating before, your body doesn't necessarily bounce back. If anything, I'll get a refeed. So what I mean by that, by a refeed, is just taking what I'm already eating and adding a little bit more. And it's not usually protein. It's let's say for my rice. So right now, one of my meals, not all of my meals has a complex carb, by the way. I only get 2. So basically, one of my meals has 70 grams of cooked rice. So if I'm doing a higher carb day, it might be 90 grams, maybe 100. It's usually 90. So it's not a lot, by the way, but my refeed days is basically a little bit more carbs. It'd be a little bit more rice. I also get oats in the morning. So instead of, let's say, 30 grams of oats, maybe I'll get 45 or 50 grams of oats. So that's what I mean by a refeed. It's just taking something that you already eat and you're having a little bit more of that. So my body responds better to that. Would I like to have what some of the other guys have, the burger and fries, or some people, I don't know. I've heard some people have McDonald's. Dave Palumbo has McDonald's. It's not that I have a craving for McDonald's. It's just, it'd be nice to have something a little different than some extra rice. I wouldn't even mind sushi, actually. It would just be a little bit different. But, again, stick to the plan. Lee, welcome. I spill over easy too. I'm very carb sensitive. Yeah. You know what, Lee? Being carb sensitive sucks, by the way. So my heart goes out to you. My body has always been that way. I understand it can change with age, because I know I've met a lot of athletes where when in their younger years, and I'm not calling you old by any stretch, Lee, I'm just saying in general, there are people, let's say, that said, when I was in my 20s, I was able to eat anything and I still kept the weight off. And then when I got into my 30s or my 40s, when I ate the same food, I started packing on weight and I started getting love handles or whatever. So your metabolism can change in time. I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm just saying it can happen. It's unfortunate, but then you just adapt to it. So that's really important. I want to make sure I'm not missing any. Thanks for the answer with the coach question. Okay, great. Dave, great. We used to get proper gear back then, used a lot less to get proper results. The French parabol. I never tried paraboling. It was like rocket fuel. Oh, was it? Cool. Hey, Kevin, nice to see you. Yes, I'm well. Thank you. I'm always hungry because I'm in prep right now, but yes, I'm good. Yeah, I'm just wondering. That's a great point. What Black Dragon brought up as far as why did the golden era have such clear skin on cycle? So if anyone has any other thoughts on that, that would be great. So as far as the quality of the gear, was it different then? And that's why they had better skin. And they use lower dosages. There are some, I'm not saying all, but there's also this perception that the pros use these huge quantities of gear. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't some pro bodybuilders that use a lot of gear, but keep in mind, to be at the top level, you have to have some level of genetics. Now, I'm not saying all level of genetics is the same. That's the other thing. When someone says to an athlete, oh, you're genetically gifted, keep in mind, you can be genetically gifted, let's say, in your legs, but maybe you're not genetically gifted in your back. Or maybe you're genetically great in your calves and you're not genetically gifted anywhere else. Now, there are people who are genetically gifted in more areas of the body, but again, it's about how genetically gifted you are. And the people who rise to the top tend to be those who are very genetically gifted. I don't know if you guys saw the Tampa Pro, Andrew Jack. Now, I trained with, saw Andrew Jack training in Vegas when I was in Vegas for 6 months. He trains super hard. And I remember when I left Vegas in February of this year, what he looked like. So when I saw him on stage, I'm like, this dude grows. He grows like a weed. And he's got such a great structure. I love his V-taper. He's got, for someone so tall to have that kind of muscle and to have a small waist is really great. Now, the only thing was the conditioning. I know he can come in more conditioned, but I also know his decision to do the Tampa Pro was kind of last minute. So he didn't, I think he only spent, and I could be wrong, but I think it was something like 6 weeks. It wasn't very much for dieting. So, because he wasn't planning on doing it. He's planning to do, I believe it's the UK. Is it the Arnold UK? I think it's the Arnold UK. I'm not 100%. But I think if anyone knows, please post it in the chat. But when he was planning to do that show. So I have no doubt he's going to be so dialed in. We're going to see Andrew Jack dialed in, and this is going to be a really good precursor, a really good introduction what he's going to look like for the Olympia. Because what's going to happen is that because he's so genetically gifted, when he does the UK, and he might win it, we'll see. James Hollingshead's in there too, and I'm a big James fan too. But the thing is that when they shut it down after this show, he has time to still put on muscle, because he can put on muscle very quickly. It'll be really interesting, the package he brings. So I'm really excited, especially about all this new blood. And I still like the guys who've been doing this for a long time. Who're still going to be there. Rami's still going to be there. Brandon's going to be there. Bonac is still going to be there. I don't consider Ian one of the older crew, but he's going to be there. Labrada. I mean, there's so many good Hadi Chupon. I am so looking forward to seeing it, but I'd love to see this new blood. Let's say Nick. I can't wait to see what Nick looks like on stage. I can't wait to, there's just, to see, it's just so many guys up there. I can't wait to see this year's Olympia period. It's just going to be so exciting. Let me see. Promo. Complex carbs are fine if you want to lose weight, but had no problem losing a lot of weight still. It's good. Promo. That's great. It's good that you can have the complex carbs. That's awesome. Natty Gaines. Hey, nice to see you. I bet it was. Yeah, it might. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Natty. I don't know 100% if the gear was better back then. It might have been. So that could have been a contributing factor for sure. Dave, it's very rare you see a complete physique nowadays, but when you do know, their genetics are great. Yeah. And let me know what you guys thought about the Tampa Pro, by the way, as far as the placings, because I feel a little mixed. Now, I'm not a judge. Let me just start. I'm not a judge. I wouldn't want that job. It's a tough job, but I think I felt from what I saw. Now, keep in mind, when you're in person versus pictures, it's a very different ball game, because when I went to the Olympia last year, I sat and I had a really good seat. And when I was seeing these guys on stage, and then I would look at the monitor, and I couldn't believe how blurry they looked on the monitor. And when I saw them on stage, they were so crisp, but that wasn't showing on the picture. So it really gave me appreciation when people say, you know what, you weren't there. According to the pictures, it looks like this person should have placed in front of that person. But when you were there, it's very different. And I never got it until I saw the Olympia and I saw the guys. And I'm like, now I understand why they ranked the people the way they did. Although having said that, And I like Rami. I do like Rami, but I thought Brandon should have had it last year. My personal opinion, just my personal opinion. Can't wait to see Rami's package this year, though. Have you seen his progress pictures? I have never seen him so conditioned at this point before. So it's going to be really interesting. But when you've got a big Goliath like Nick Walker, plus someone who's big, I think Andrew's 6'2". Again, I'm not 100%. I know he's above 6 feet, but he's a big guy and he's got the V taper. Now, even if Andrew Jack does not win the Olympia, and he may not, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. And Quentin, oh my gosh, Quentin, I'm such a big fan of you. You are going to be, Quentin, I'm telling you right now, is a future Mr. Olympia. He needs more time to get some more size on, but his structure, love his structure. When we get 100% Quentin against 100% Andrew Jack, I can't wait for that day. I'm telling you right now. And actually, the Olympia is just getting more exciting. I'm just so happy about it. Lee Price, Texas. Okay. Are you from Texas, Lee? You mean Tampa, Lesley, or last weekend? Oh, you're right. I'm sorry, guys. I said you're right. That's what you're talking about. Yes. Eliminate the fact that I said Tampa. Thank you for catching me. Okay. This is called prep brain. All right. You're right. Texas, the Texas Pro. 100% right, guys. Thank you. Lee, you're trying to tell me it was Texas, not Tampa. Thank you. Yes, Texas. I like Dave. Okay, so let me know your thoughts. You guys do not have to agree with me. I'm giving you full permission. You don't have to agree with me. I do believe that Andrew Jack deserved to win. And then it was very tough after that. Very, very, very tough. And Martin, from what I saw in the pictures, again, I was not there. So if anyone, and by the way, was anyone who watching this, was anyone there at the Texas Pro? What I saw from the morning show, Martin looked so friggin' peeled. But then something happened in the night show, and he didn't. And I don't know if he spilled over, or I don't know if it was a tanning or an oil issue, but he didn't look as crisp. So I was kind of surprised he came in second. I wouldn't have been surprised if he came in second if he had looked as crisp as he did in the morning. And this is nothing against Martin, because I'm telling you right now, sorry, was it Martin? Sorry, I might mix up his name. Who came in second, guys, at the Texas Pro? Was that his name? He was trained by Branch. The guy who was trained by Branch. He's this young guy, and he's this young, I can't remember his name. Was it Martin? He's this young guy, and he put on a boatload of muscle since working with Branch. And he came in peeled. Like, he came in like more muscular and very, very peeled. Like, so friggin' impressive. It is Martin. Okay, thank you, Dave. So that's why I was a little surprised Martin came in second, just because he looked, and again, maybe it was just the TV screen. He didn't look as sharp in the evening show from what I saw as compared to the morning. Again, you guys can disagree with me. And Kuklo, I think Steve came in third. I felt, Steve is, he's a big guy, but I think he was trying, he's known for his conditioning. I felt he lost some size, especially in the front shots were great. I think his front shots are really good. It's when he turns around to the back. I don't feel that, I don't know if it's something about his back. It just didn't feel as, as dense. And it's not that he doesn't have strong back, but when I saw the comparisons, I didn't feel that the conditioning in his back overrode, fourth was Kamel in fourth, and then Quentin was in fifth, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Because if anything, again, this is only my opinion, and I like Steve, but I don't think because of how he presented in his shape, I think Quentin should have beaten Steve. Now, you can disagree with me, and I am biased because I like Quentin, and he's also Canadian. But I do love his shape, and he did bring up a lot more muscle. The amount of muscle Quentin has put on has been great. Whereas I feel like it's important, and again, I'm not a judge, but I do feel it's important that guys get better year after year. And I feel that Steve tends to have the same, even though he looked better than last year, it's still not better than previous years. And he's done a lot. I think he said he did like something like 100 shows. It's crazy, right? That's amazing. But I don't feel like his look is getting better. Whereas I feel like Quentin is getting better. So why isn't that getting rewarded? And Kamal, Kamal was doing 212. And he did open. He's 51 years old, guys. He's getting better. How many 51-year-olds do you know look like that? You know, and he trains with he trained with Nick Walker. And I think Nick was even saying Nick was saying that Kamal trains like an animal. And Nick trains like an animal. So that just kind of tells you. So I feel that Kamal, because he was getting better and Quentin was getting better, that they should have gotten higher than Steve. And again, I'm not trying to put down Steve. I'm just trying to say from a standpoint, especially from the back. Back is such an important shot that I don't think it should be ignored. Now, again, I'm not a judge, and this is based on pictures. So maybe in person, Steve looked a lot more crisper and his back was popping. Maybe, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, though. Low carbs, Lesley, who would have your top 5 been? Okay. And then, yes, Kamal fourth, what a great physique in Quentin. Yes. Ari Investor, welcome to the channel. So I'm going to give you my top 5 in a second. Okay. Here from After Hours, how have you been? Great info. I learned so much from you, and I'm old. Okay, how old? Oh, you're 60. You know what, Ari Investor? I am 54, and I'm competing at the Amateur Olympia. Now, I'm no Kamal, okay? Kamal has genetics, and he works his ass off. I have props to him. I took a picture with him, I think, last year, saying us old people have to stick together. If I can do another shot with him, we'll say the 50-year-olds, here we are at the Olympia. Although he's pro, I'm just amateur. I'm glad you enjoy the program, and welcome from After Hours. And Ari, if you're just joining us, if you have any questions, I was just saying about, the topic was hypergymnasia. Right now, we're just talking about the Texas Pro. But any kind of question, I welcome here. And if you have idea for future topics, post it here. If you think about after the fact, after this video, it gets posted, and then you guys can comment. And if you want to, whether you like this stuff, what would you like to see more of? If there's topics you want me to cover, let me know. I'm probably, now, just so you guys know, on my YouTube channel, every Friday morning, I do a new video, and it's usually a shorter video, just so I can try to get people, it's crunching in a bunch of information. It's about anywhere between 4 and 6 minutes long. It might go a little bit over, but it's usually 4 to 6 minutes, not a long time. I'm going to do a specific video for this Friday talking a little bit more about hypergymnasia, because I really want to make it clear, because I really think people can identify with this to be able to say, do I have it and what can I do about it? So that I'm going to tape later on sometime this week, but I'll put it up Friday morning, so keep an eye on it. If you want to subscribe to my channel, then you just get the alert. And when you subscribe, this is something I didn't realize. When you subscribe to my channel, it's not subscribing. You actually when you do the subscribe to there's a little selection. If you don't ring the bell, it won't notify you for some reason when a new episode goes up. So do the subscribe and then that little bell thing, so you're notified of all the videos I post. So sorry, I want to answer all of your questions. Hold on. Calgary, cool. Okay, so I learned so much. Great. All right, so let me ask, my top 5. So I want to answer these questions. I do believe Andrew Jack should have come first. I do. Martin, and again, I'm basing this on the pictures. And again, if you guys have other top fives, let me know what your top five is. I would love to know your top five. My top five, and again, I wasn't there. This is totally based on what I saw on the stream, was Andrew Jack first. Then I would have probably have put, and again, it's just based on what I saw, I probably would have put Kamal. I really would. Then I would have put Quentin. I would have put Quentin in third. Then I would have put Martin. And then maybe Steve. And again, the only reason I would have had Martin on 4 instead of 2 is because of the evening show. Because I don't feel that if you do really well in the morning and then something happens and you spill over, and again, this is just based on pictures, guys. I'm not saying he was like that in real, because I wasn't there. I wasn't at the Texas Pro. Just based on what I saw. If you're not also coming in crisp on the evening show, you shouldn't score as high. That's my opinion. I'm not a judge, but that's my opinion. So I think you should be rewarded if you can come in with a good package both in the morning and in the evening. My personal opinion. If you don't come in, if you came in super great and he looked amazing in the morning, like amazing. Did he deserve second in the morning? Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. The only reason why I wouldn't have put in Martin first in the morning is because despite the muscle mass and his conditioning, phenomenal. In fact, from what I saw, he looked more conditioned than anybody up there. I think he was the most conditioned guy. Is that he doesn't have the structure. He's more blocky. Whereas I know we're calling it bodybuilding and they're rewarding, the bigger guys. It's not like Andrew Jack is not a big guy. But the fact that he has the frame and he's got that V taper where he didn't have the conditioning, but he still had enough muscle. Like he's wide. Like his shoulder, I don't know what his shoulder width is, but the V taper I thought was really pretty. Like I said, he only had, I think, 6 weeks to diet for the show. So we'll see what he looks like at the UK show. So that's why I would have put it in that order. And I like all the guys. I want them all to come 100%. But we all know if you've ever competed, it's hard. You train and you try to come 100%, but sometimes last minute things happen. And if you do something really successful in a show in your carb up, if you do the exact same thing at another show, it doesn't always do the same result. That's why you never know until the day of what you're going to look like. But you kind of got to trust your process, trust your coach. And that's why it's also nice to have a coach. So I think, Dave, you were asking me earlier about the coach. Nerves can get the best of us, especially on show day. And if you see someone bigger, you might be saying, oh, I got to be bigger. And then you might spill over. Whereas a trained coach will usually have a better idea. And sometimes it's trial and error, especially if it's a coach that you worked with the first time. That's happened with me, where I worked with a really good coach, and I still work with him, and I will be working with him again, is that he carved me up and we did some, I call them mock preps, meaning I was leading up to a show, but I wasn't actually doing the show when we were finished that mock prep to find out how did my body respond. Then we dropped me down lower carbs and did another mock prep. So basically I was getting more full with everything. So then actually the day before the show, we thought, okay, let's bring you in just a tad fuller. We just increased the carbs just a tad. But then I ended up spilling over, and that was the Amateur Olympia last year. So, but we learned. That's the thing. That was my first big show with this coach. So you have to give your coach some leeway. I mean, it is trial and error, but when they get to know your body, it does help. But again, was I able to make that call? No, I'm glad I had a coach to tell me, because on show day or the day before the show, it's kind of like, you don't know what the right thing to do is sometimes, because I also don't have the experience. My coach would. Now with the coach, because we've gone through it before, the next time will be a little bit easier. Oh, okay, so let me go over this. So Promo. Do I use steroids? Yes. Okay, promo. Can't you tell by my voice? Yes. So I was natural. So I did, I believe, 12 shows. My first 12 shows I did natural. And initially when I was competing, I was so against using any gear. In fact, that was not on my radar at all. I was never going to use gear, ever, ever. I didn't, and I had a lot of friends in the gym who used gear, and I didn't have anything against them. I just said, for me, I wasn't going to do that. But I got to a point when I was competing, I felt I only got my body to go to a certain point, and I feel like it wasn't getting beyond the point I wanted it to for me to compete competitively, because I do women's physique. So there's more muscle than, let's say, figure. Now, when I first competed, I was doing figure and physique, and the judges always favored me in physique just because I had, I'm short. I'm only 5 feet tall on a good day. And for physique, that's better when you're shorter, believe it or not. And because of my structure, I have more of a structure of a physique competitor than a figure competitor. So you got to go with what your body is. So, and I like physique, honestly, better. I like the posing better. And with physique, let me tell you guys, some women love heels, and God bless them. I don't. I don't like wearing heels. So when you're deprived of food and carbs, even if you're carved up, practicing in heels is not fun. And what's the other thing? Oh, yes, when you're dehydrated in heels. I don't know. Bikini girls, God love you. I don't know how you do it. But yeah, I'm not a heel person. So I wear sandals. I wear running shoes and sandals. And in the wintertime, because I'm Canadian, boots. I don't like wearing heels. Now, if I wear sandals that have a bit of a heel on them, it's called a wedge. So for guys who don't know what I'm talking about, a heel is usually thin. Gives you that height, and it's a little skinny little stick kind of thing. A wedge is this thick mother thing. So it's basically, you've got your shoe, and it's got this thick thing where it kind of gives you that height, but then it comes down. So it's not as treacherous is what I call it. So like physique for that category. But yeah, so my first 12 shows were natural. And then I went over to the dark side. And that's when I started. And to this day, I use very low doses. But as you can tell, it's affected my voice. But yeah, I like to, and I know the risks. I did my research. So that's the choice I made. I'm not saying you guys have to do it. But like I said, I never judge people who did do it, because I do feel it is a personal choice. But yeah, for me, especially because I don't have great genetics and I still wanted to compete competitively. Now, for me to compete with the women physique in the pro level, I'm not going to be that competitive, because for me, because I don't have the genetics, I don't mind training hard, but I don't have the genetics. I won't be able to compete properly with them. I might be able to stand on stage with them. I could earn my pro card. I'm hoping to earn my pro card and go into a pro show. But to win against those top level, like when you look at Sarah Villegas, who won last year, and Natalia Coelho, who is such a sweetheart, by the way. These two women are phenomenal. There's no way on any given day, on any kind of asteroid I could ever find myself on, that I could compete with these girls. And I say that with love, because I know, like, I have such a huge respect for them. They have genetics. They also train hard. They may not need a lot of gear. I don't know. They may not, because of their genetics. They train hard, I have no doubt. But for me to look anywhere close to them, I would have to do a boatload of gear that I am not prepared to do. That's my choice. I'm not saying other people haven't done it or won't do it. I'm saying for me, I want to try to be as healthy as possible. And no, steroids are not healthy. I get that. But I'm willing to take certain risks. That's my choice. Again, people have to make their own choices, and I respect that. But for me, to be competitive, I felt I needed, for me, because I felt I did what I could for 12 shows. I got to the point and I couldn't get beyond that. So for me, I felt I reached my genetic potential as far as where I could take my body naturally. And for me to progress, I had to do something in the world of steroids. So yes, I hope that answers your question, Promo. Let's see. I've got absent gymnasia or gym no-go. Which no-go issues? Mostly due to money, though. Seriously, I'll tune in Friday too. It's an interesting topic. Gym. Okay, you know what? A lot of people, by the way, do have this this kind of sports anorexia. Basically, we get compelled to feel that we have to do whatever it takes to win. Now, I don't have a problem with people trying to challenge themselves and push themselves hard in the gym, but there's a limit. And when we get into a mindset of we want to win, because who doesn't want to win? I don't know a single competitor who doesn't want to win. When you want to win, you're willing to do what it takes. Now, I'm willing to put myself through training sessions and cardio and take some gear, but am I willing to take a lot of gear? Or there's certain steroids I refuse to take. I won't take it. And that's not judging people who do. I'm just saying, for me, I'm not willing to take those risks. There's a point, but with the hypergymnasia, it was more of doing like I was saying, going to the point where you're not enjoying your workouts anymore. Now, that's different from someone who's competing and doesn't enjoy their workouts, let's say 3 weeks before. Like for me, around the 3-week mark, depending on the show, around 3 weeks before the show, I stop enjoying my workouts. I do them because I need to, but I'm forcing myself because my carbs are low, my energy, it's, maybe my sleep is being affected, where it's just really grueling. Like every day is really grueling. Now, I've done this so many times before, I'm used to it, but it doesn't mean it's still fun. It's not fun, but you still push yourself to do it. So I'm not talking about when it's that point, because when the show's over, I usually take 1, maybe 2 days off, and then I'm back in the gym because I miss the gym, but then I enjoy my workouts again. Now I think after the Amateur Olympia last year, I took a few more days just because it really took a lot out of me because I put everything into that. But then after, I would say, a week, I was definitely enjoying myself back in the gym again. So I miss the gym and I like the gym. But what differentiates, let's say, a competitor, and it doesn't even have to be a bodybuilder, anyone in sports or fitness, you don't even have to be a competitive athlete. What differentiates someone who trains a lot versus someone who trains a lot and has this sports anorexia is that they no longer enjoy the sport. They get to a point. It's not like 3 weeks before a show. It's like they stop and they do it because they just feel, I just have to do it. And they don't even know why. They just go through the motions. It's like this compulsion. They don't know why. They're just driven to do it. To the point they stop and they actually miss certain things like meals. They think, you know what? I don't have time to eat. I got to get another cardio session in. And remember, this is to help their performance in STEM fashion. That's the difference between anorexia and the sports anorexia. And I'll go into a little bit more detail when I do my video on Friday. Let me see. I'll tune in. Okay, great. Okay, my top. Oh, Frank Zane. Yeah, Serge Nubray. Yeah. Larry Scott, Bob Paris, and Francis Benford. Okay, oh wait, that's my classic bodybuilding vibe. I'm holding it closely these days. Yeah, Ari, I would love to know your top 5. Ari, did you see the Texas Pro? Because I'd love to know your top 5 in the Texas Pro. Follower of Jerry Brown. Okay, and his science on training. Less is often better. I think Vince trying to advocate too. My best results for 3 days a week in 20s. I find when people tell me, Lesley, what's the best split? Again, keep in mind, guys, that depending on age, depending on how long you've been training, depending on your joints, there's a lot of factors that go in. It's not a one-size-fits-all, so to speak. You got to find the training program that works for you. Because if I told you what works for me, maybe you can't get that in your workday. Maybe, lifestyle, it has to fit in your lifestyle. When people say, when's the best time to do cardio? For me, I do fasted cardio. Well, sometimes I do 2 cardio sessions, depending on what my coach tells me to do. And no, I don't do any more cardio than I'm supposed to do. I did do that at one of my shows. So I did suffer a little bit of hypergymnasia at one point in time where I did a little bit more cardio than I should have. But I did tell my coach a couple of days after the fact. And then he said, yes, you can continue doing that. But still, I shouldn't have done that. I should have asked him first. But I got myself sidetracked. What we're talking. Okay, so the best time to do cardio, you have to fit it in. If I said to you the best time to do it is fasted, but let's say you have a job where you have to be at the job site at 4 a.m. Well, maybe that fasted is not the best time for you to do it because you have to be at work so early. Most of the time, if you have to be at work really super early, that means you're going to be finished work a little bit earlier than most other people, because most people don't start work at 4. They might start at 7, 8, 9, but they don't start at 4. So maybe your cardio is going to be more in the evening. Fit your cardio in when you can, when your lifestyle. Now, if your lifestyle gives you flexibility, I would say fasted cardio is best. But like I said, it's about getting consistency in. If you can't be consistent with something, it doesn't make sense you do it that way. And that isn't just with the cardio, that could be with weights, with your weight training. So if you're, let's say, my coach just bumped me up from 5 days a week to 6 days a week. I don't mind that, and my schedule can accommodate that. But I'm not going to say, hey guys, I think you should train 6 days a week. You're going to get better results if your schedule doesn't allow that. Let's say you're recovering from injuries. What are your goals? My goal is to go to the Olympia. Maybe that's not your goal. So then it doesn't make sense for you to train 6 days a week. Why wear your body out like that? And I also do physio and see my RMT. So, I mean, remember, these are short-term kinds of things. This is, if you're talking about how can I be fit from a lifestyle standpoint, I'm not talking about competition standpoint. Do I think you need to train 6 days a week? No. Now, if you love training at the gym, and let's say you're in there 45 minutes to an hour, you can do that. That's okay. But do I think you should be doing 3 hours in the gym 6 days a week and you're not preparing for a show? No. And if you ask Dave Palumbo, he would say no to the 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, period. In fact, I think he would say no to the 3 hours a day, period. I would have a little different conversation about that. Now, I was doing 3 hours a day, let me explain before anyone jumps down my throat, on certain days, back and legs. Those were bigger body parts. Now, that includes, when I say 3 hours, now, when I say a 3-hour leg workout, I know people are like, that's too long, Lesley. But let me explain. That includes warming up. That includes all my warm-up sets. So it includes warming up. Let's say I go on the bike for 10 minutes to warm up my legs. That includes my warm-up sets, all of them. And I'll do 4 warm-up sets for the first exercise, and I might do 2 warm-up sets for the next exercise. I might do, depending on what the third exercise is, I might do 2 warm-up sets on that one. Includes every warm-up set, includes all my working sets. It includes afterwards all the physio exercises I do, all the stretching I do. I use the rumble roller. It includes everything for the 3 hours. And it also includes, guys, because I drink a lot of water, the 4 pee breaks I take in between, because I drink a lot of water, and I drink a lot of water before I train. So that includes everything for 3 hours. So when you say 3 hours, it's probably the actual workout is closer to, well, if it's legs, 2 hours in the grand scheme of things. And I don't do a Cutler, and I like Jay Cutler, by the way, but I don't train like Jay Cutler, where he does, what is it? Is it 30 or 45 seconds in between sets? I think it's short. It's very short. So he'll do a set, it'll be like 30, 45 seconds, and he'll hit it again. For me, depending on what I'm doing, especially with legs, I need 90 to 120 seconds between sets for legs, when I do legs. So it takes a little longer for me to do the workout. And so, yeah, that's why it would be longer for me. Now, because my trainer changed it, my program to 6 days a week, they're not so jam-packed with so much stuff, so it gets spread out. So when I did my new leg training program today, I finished the actual leg workout in just under 2 hours, which is unheard of for me. And again, that's the warm-up sets. That's 2.25, including everything with the physio, the rumble rolling, everything. And the 3 or 4 pee breaks I took. Yes. So it's much, much better. Let's see. Okay, I want to make sure. Doing split routines, each body part once per week. Man, did I grow. That's cool. That's great. Whoever brought this water depletion thing, and it's never used to be done. Okay, I don't know who brought it in, the depletion. But for me, I do go through a period of water loading and then deplete, but I never deplete to like, well, no, okay, what's the less? I have gone down to, let's say, a cup. I do the water. I have done that, where it'd be a cup and then of water. But that would be, no, actually, show day. Show day is when I have the least water, obviously. But even leading up to the show, I always have a lot of water and it just goes down a little bit. So it might be something like, for me, because I'm only 5 feet tall on a good day. So it'd be something like 8 liters of water when I'm at my maximum. So I'm peeing more than 4 times, especially in leg day. 8, 7, 6. So go like peak week, it does go down. It helps flush. For me, it seems to work. But what are your thoughts on the water depletion thing? Let me know. Okay. I'm glad you got that common sense to use minimal doses. It's just not worth it. You've got to think of life after body. Yeah, and I am, Dave, and this is the thing. I might, depending on how this year goes, I might do 1 more year competing and then, or half a year of next year and then retire. Not because I necessarily want to retire from competing, but I really want to get my mental iron business off the ground. And I find I can't do the videos. I can't put out more content because I am in prep and it takes a long time. And energy, because when I'm in prep, I don't have as much energy and I want to give you guys more content and do more stuff. So as long as I'm competing, I can't build this as much as I'd like to. So in order to build my second business, I'm going to have to retire. That's just a reality. So the question is, at what point do I retire next year? So we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, we'll see how this year goes. I'd love to take test injections, but it's near impossible to get here in Canada. Doctors seem so reluctant to prescribe it, but I have sarcopenia now, and at my age, I have very little muscle left. Okay, so test, never done the test. What about Primo? Ari, I don't know if you've tried Primo. Okay, I'll review the Texas Pro and let you know. Missed the show due to illness. Oh, I'm sorry you didn't feel well. Okay, yeah, let me know about your what you think your top 5 are. A lot of volume training, interesting. Yes, I do a lot of volume training. Promo, once trained 17 days in a row, all out around 1 hour per day. 17 days in a row, wow. Okay, so Promo, when you did the 17 days in a row, was that for a specific reason? And how were you able to get through 17 days? I'm just curious. I myself, I'm about to do, I just started, this is day 2. I'm about to do 8 days in a row. Or is it 7? Hold on, let me get it. Sorry, I'm going to do 7 days in a row, and this is day 2. Just the way my new program is, and then I get a day off, and then I'll be doing 6 days on and 1 day off. So that's different for me. But I'm willing to do it. After 30 seconds rest, you already have 50% of your strength back. Okay, really? Promo? Okay, Promo. I do rest pauses. 30 seconds is not, when I do legs on rest pause, I don't get 50% of my strength back after 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm still hyperventilating. Okay, all right. When using steroids, do you find that you can train more volume than normally or less actual sets and reps? I can do more volume and heavier weights. That's my personal experience, Ari. Way more volume, recovery is way faster. I do, see, here's the thing, Promo. I do volume and I do both. The way my training is set up with my current coach as well as my previous coaches, they're big on volume. I'm used to volume though. That's the way I train. I'm used to it. But but the weights are not necessarily light. And if they're lighter, I do rest pauses. So I do slow eccentrics and I'll pause. So like when I did not hack squats. I did, why is it? Pendulum squats. Okay, pendulum squats today. So I did one of the exercises with pendulum squats. So I do like a 3 to 4 second negative. I hold it at the bottom for 3 seconds. Now, when I say 3 seconds, it's not 1, 2, 3. It's 1 Mississauga, 2 Mississauga, 3 Mississauga. Then I go up. 3 to 4 seconds down, 1 Mississauga, 2 Mississauga, 3 Mississauga. Then I go back up. Do that. So that wasn't necessarily volume. I didn't do like 20 of those. I think I only did 10. But after 30 seconds, there's no way I would have been able to do it right away. So I think it depends on how you're training. But I do, in total volume. So I didn't do volume on necessarily particular exercises, but the number of sets I do overall in the program is usually around 20 sets per body part, usually. Okay, back in the day, we called that many days in a row. Overtraining, it can actually retard your... Okay. Oh, you did it back in the day. Okay. Matt, okay, I have a trip to Florida during the Labor Day weekend for 4 days, and I'm going to miss my cycle dose, which I can't carry it right. Don't want me to be affected during my travel. Okay, Matt, here's the thing. Yeah, you don't want to travel with gear. Never. It's not worth it. When you go to Florida, Matt, now here's the thing. How you're only going for 4 days. Being off gear for 4 days is not going to hurt you, okay? What you're going to have to do, make sure you have your EAAs, make sure you've got, if you have some, you can get, or, if you can't bring it, you should be able to bring EAAs on the flight, or you can get your EAAs there. Florida's a big, bodybuilding area. Do you know where you're going to be in Florida, by the way? What gym are you going to be at? I'm sure they're going to have EAAs. You're going to have your creatine, your fermented glutamine. And by the way, get it fermented. Don't get just glutamine, get it fermented. You don't need gear to train hard. People sometimes get used to, if I don't have my gear, I can't train hard. No, it's a complement to what you're already doing. And for 4 days, it's not the worst case scenario. Okay, take it from me. It's not. But Matt, I'm glad you're Labor Day weekend's around the corner. Florida, that's going to be cool. Okay, just kept training until I lost some strength and took a day off and started all over again. Lots of gains. Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, the thing is, I find my magic number. Now, I haven't tried this 6 days in a row before, so I'm going to be interested to see what this week is going to look like, especially with my strength. I'm used to doing a maximum of 3 days in a row. Then I take a day off, and then I'll train again for 2 to 3 days, and then take a day off. So again, I'm willing to try this new approach my coach is giving me. So I'm going to try it and see how it goes. And even if I get tired on let's say day 4, day 5, I want to see when I repeat this cycle of the 6 days on, 1 day off, does my body adapt to it? Because sometimes it takes, a few weeks for your body to adapt to a new train schedule. So that's okay. I'm on test shots and wins. Okay. You need to talk to your coach about what you should be on. Okay. Talk to your coach because you want to keep that consistent. I was talking earlier about having too many cooks in the kitchen. So what I mean by that is if you're going to trust your coach to give you some type of recommendation on what kind of gear you're going to have, don't go to other coaches. Stick with the one coach. If you listen, it's like the kitchen. Too many cooks in the kitchen, you're not going to get anything done. It's going to be very confusing. It's going to be chaos. Okay? If you got Gordon Ramsay in your kitchen, you don't want to be listening to anyone else. Stick with Gordon Ramsay. So if you're going to have a good cook in the kitchen, listen to your one cook. So in this case, your coach. Listen to your coach. Don't listen to your other coaches unless you're starting to doubt if they're qualified or if you feel that they're doing something dangerous. That's a different story. Based on what you're telling me, so far so good, and you're getting blood work done. That's important. So as long as you're keeping that, don't go asking people what they're doing. You're going to take yourself down a rabbit hole, okay? Stick with what you're doing. When you compare yourself, and this is just you, this is for everybody else. When you're following what your coach is telling you, and then they're going and you're hearing what they're doing, and maybe they're doing more gear or different gear than you are, you can ask your coach, hey, well, what about this? They'll tell you, oh, I don't think you need that, or, maybe we'll do this instead, or whatever, but just listen to the one coach. Their experience, that's what you're paying them for, okay? All right. Okay, I always did negatives, helped with growth tremendously. Frank and Jerry both recommend it, and it does. Mike Mentzer always did. Yep, he did too. Especially when you're older. Yes, when it comes to age, negatives especially. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do this when you're younger. I think this really helps when you're younger too. But when you do slow negatives, you're really focusing on the mind-muscle connection as well. And Ben Pokulski, he did the MI40 program. He really talks about, not just the mind-muscle connection, but it's about, really feeling, it is feeling the rep for sure, but you want to have, he calls it time under tension. Now, I don't know if Ben necessarily initially coined it that, but I know he does in his MI40 stuff. It's the more time you have your muscle under tension when you do that slower negative, the more you're working the muscle. And then you're not bouncing. You're not doing because sometimes what we do is to get through the rep. Now I'm thinking about legs, but this could be, let's say, with a bicep curl. Whew, well, that's called momentum, guys. Try to, when you curl up, you curl it with control. I'm not saying you can't be more explosive, but don't it's controlling the movement, whether it's an eccentric or concentric. So even on the explosive movements, they need to be more controlled. And I'm guilty of this. I've done the explosive thing where I ended up using too much momentum. When you're forcing yourself to do slower reps, I find it's better to have time. Your muscles are under tension longer, and you're exercising the muscle, which is what we want. Remember, that's the idea of growth. We need to really break that muscle down so when we're resting, it can repair itself and it can come back bigger and stronger. That's the idea. Overcompensation. Oh, yeah, promo, yeah, for sure. Okay, Ari, I've never used gear in 40 years of training. Nice. Since the Marine Corps. Oh, thank you for your service, Ari. And had great development in muscularity, although not a Hulk. I was ripped as long as I had my diet under control. Awesome. That's awesome. Hats off to you. And again, thank you for your service, Ari. I really appreciate that. Okay, promo. I do the same now. Train 6 days in a row, then 1 day off. Always works for me. I tried it all. Okay. Well, I'm going to try it too, so I'll keep you guys posted. Okay, Lesley, what would you say was your funniest moment on stage at a comp? Oh my gosh, my funniest moment. Okay, which one? All right, how about the one where funniest. This is when I was doing figure and I was in those damn heels, guys. They had the bodybuilders up first. And now keep in mind, bodybuilders have oil on them. So what do you think went on stage? And so I happened to step with my heel on one of the little oily patches on stage. So I went down. Actually, no, I didn't. I don't know if I went fully down. I did a little shoot and get my balance, and then I went back up. That was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I held it together and I pretended like it didn't happen. So when I look back on it, I laugh because it's like, yeah, if anyone's gonna fall on stage, it would be me. Yeah, because I'm just not a heel person, guys. I'm just not. So I would say that was one of my funniest for sure. All right, Orlando for Disney. Oh, cool, Disneyland. Okay, be careful of the gender police at Disneyland, but have a great time in Orlando, Matt. Have a great time. It's fun. I love going on roller coasters, or I used to. I don't know if my joints can handle it anymore, but I love roller coasters. Okay, people are way too scared nowadays to get overtrained. See, here's the thing, promo. When people train, sometimes they don't push themselves as hard as they could. They think that they're training hard and they can train harder. I'm guilty of that sometimes too. But yeah, to truly be overtrained, though, as I was talking promo, when I was talking about this hypergymnasia, that's when you're doing more than 2 hard training sessions a day. And we're talking about for long periods of time to the point where you're missing meals. You're not enjoying the workout anymore. It's affecting your life. You're getting overly stressed. Like, it takes control of your life. So what happens is that when you divide your life, when you plan your day, exercise is first and foremost, and then everything else goes around it. Let's say work, family, household, everything else goes around it. Now, I'm not talking about when you're in competition for short periods of time. I'm talking about a lifestyle. It's important to be able to, train hard for sure and push yourself. So some people feeling that, I'm really tired. Maybe I'm overtraining because I'm so tired. Sometimes the word overtraining gets overused, and it's not in the true sense of overtraining. When I'm saying overtraining, I'm talking about in the form of this sports anorexia that I'm talking about. And if for anyone who's just listening in right now, I'm going to do a special video on this sports anorexia. I'm going to tape it sometime this week, but it'll go up Friday morning. So if you subscribe to my channel and do the alert button, you'll be alerted when it goes up, but it's going up Friday morning. That's my plan. If it doesn't, you give me trouble, but it's on my to-do list, so I'll be working on that sometime this week. Frank Zane has such a, the people, I'm not putting down the people who compete nowadays, because I have a tremendous amount of respect. But the guys from the 90s, they're just classic. Frank Zane says that a lot in his books and videos over the years, and he was never huge. Yeah, he was just ripped and sculpted. I agree. And personal preference when it comes to looks, because I always I like aesthetics. I think bodybuilding, yes, there has to be size. So when you're looking at the open bodybuilders, I'm talking about the Olympia. Well, it could be anything, but when we're talking about the open guys, yes, there needs to be muscle. But I think structure, shape, symmetry is also really important too. And I find sometimes I don't think guys that are just bigger for the sake of bigger should win over people who are still big and have the structure. And are still complete. Now, that's my personal opinion. I know judges will have their own preference. Sometimes they'll go for size. There was a show that happened not too long ago where they went for size over. So I'm not trying to be negative, guys. This is just my personal thoughts. If you guys can totally disagree with me. What was the show before Texas where I thought Kamel should have won? I like Akeem. Akeem is a monster, okay? But I don't feel that his backside was as sculpted and conditioned compared to Kamal's. That's why I feel Kamal should have beat Akeem, even though Akeem is much bigger, more muscled, 100%. And I like Akeem. I think he's great, and he's so friggin' strong. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his training clips, but he is one strong dude. But yeah, I would have given, personally, you guys can disagree with me, I would have personally put my 51-year-old guy over Akeem, and I know Akeem is younger, because I like muscle and structure, personally. That's why I think bodybuilding should be a combination, not just size only. And that's why I feel that when Sean Roden won, he wasn't the biggest guy. When he beat Phil, and I like Phil, bubbly Phil, he's got I just felt, and it was the belly thing, and I know he's fixed it, but I think it's not just muscle. I think it should be structure. And I really am such a fan of having a bit of a V taper when you're talking about a Mr. Olympia. We can actually talk about, there's so many topics about Mr. Olympia we could go into. But I'm just cognizant of time right now, and I want to make sure I address all your questions. Okay, Kevin, okay. Agreed. As Lesley says, stick with the coach. And I say keep record of at least 4 to 6 weeks of progress. I agreed. I have a book where I keep all my workouts, and this is my little book. This is my other book because I just started this one because my other one I filled up. I write down every workout, every cardio session that I have, the sets, the reps I do. So if I'm not progressing, I let my coach know, and we make some type of change. But yeah, I agree. It's important to have that feedback. I feel that works for me at least. Some people are really good. It is mental, by the way. I do agree. Thank you, Lesley. You're awesome. Thanks, Ari. Semper Fi. What's that? Ari, what's Semper Fi? I want to understand that. RE. Okay. At only 5 feet tall, you didn't have long to fall. You're Ari. Oh my gosh, you're hilarious. You're right. That's so right. Because when you're shorter, you don't have as much to fall. It's very true. It's very true. I don't know if I would say necessarily easily rebound. That would be nice. But that's, yeah, it's great. That's hilarious. Okay. When someone is tired, then they are overtrained. Yeah, promo, you're right. Dave, okay, there's a saying with diet, let's say the worse you feel. Yes, Dave, it's so true. Yes, there's that saying. The more shitty I look, the better, the more shitty I feel, the better I'm gonna look. So you guys are gonna see, I'm gonna go gray. I don't mean just my hair. I mean, my face goes a little gray, and I kind of could interview for The Walking Dead. When I get really close to show, probably around the 2-week mark, you're going to start seeing I look a little gray. That's okay. That means I don't feel good, but that's a good sign. I know that sounds so weird, but that means my body is really going through those last stages of getting rid of the fat, especially being female. And I know males have it hard too. I'm not trying to put them down. I find, especially being female, my body likes to hold on to fat, and it has to go through a torturous process for it to really let go, especially the last few pounds of fat. It doesn't want to get rid of it. It's like life or death. So I usually tell, okay, you're going to go through death. So I'll go to no carbs if I have to. Again, I don't do this on my own. I listen to my coach, and if he says, Lesley, protein only, then so be it. Protein only. I'll do that. I'll say, can I have some celery sticks? I might ask him that, but no, I'll stick to the plan for sure. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Okay. You must have, okay, Arnold's comments about being in the gym for 5-6 hours, it was nonsense. He exaggerated about his training. I'm friends with Bill Grant, but about training. Oh, yeah, you know what? I've heard mixed things. I've heard Arnold say things, and I've heard people say that when they trained with Arnold, that wasn't necessarily the case of what he did. So I guess we have to take what some people say with a grain of salt. But I think, even if whether it's true or not, Ari, I think it's just kind of going into saying, what's the message? What's the overall message? So if we don't dissect it too much, just saying the main theme is, train hard for sure, but don't overdo it, because you don't want to get prone to injuries. This is the thing. We don't want to get injured. No one wants to be injured. And like I said, or you get putting your body to the point where, and again, this doesn't count for contest prep because we do put our bodies through a lot, but to the point where you get sick because you're more prone to getting sick with anything because your immune system is so low, because you're putting your body through so much. Now, if you're doing show after show, now I know some people, I think it was Ian Valier, and he was saying, and it's true, that his body gets better show after show. Some people, the more they compete, the better their bodies look. And that's great. If that works for you, go with it. But for me, if I do too many shows, the first time I competed, my first year competed, I was only here's a little backstory. I was only going to compete once, and it ended up being twice because I was going to do a practice show and then the real show. Then I was going to be it. Well, obviously, it kept going. I got the competition bug. And the first year I ended up doing, I think it was 5 shows. No intention of doing 5 shows. I ended up doing 5 shows. Messed up my system so badly that it was torture that second year. And I think I did 3 shows that year. My body was not responding because it was so fatigued after doing 5 shows. So for me, it doesn't work as well. But like I said, for other people, like Ian Valier, he gets better with every show. If my body got better with every show, I'd be doing more shows, I'll tell you right now. So you have to kind of know your body and know your limits and do what's best for your body. So, but being at the gym for 5 to 6 hours a day. Now, I will say this. I have done training for 5 hours, but it wasn't 5 hours in a row. It was an hour of fasted cardio. Later on, it would be a 3-hour leg day. Remember, I explained my 3-hour leg day included all my pee breaks, all my warm-ups, all my physio, all my rolling, like everything. Okay. Then I would do an hour of cardio later at night. This is upon what my coach was saying. Fasted cardio, your weight training session, and that's only legs. I'm not saying it was like that for every workout. Like arms was definitely not 3 hours. And then an hour later. So then I would do, let's say, up to 5 hours for a period of time for a show only. If it was up to me, I'd probably never do cardio again. Never been a cardio girl. But I do cardio in my off season. Usually it's about 20 to 30 minutes. And it's usually fasted just to get it out of the way. That's just my personal preference. But to do 5 hours for a show for a short period of time, I don't have a problem with. For a long period of time, no, I don't think it's healthy for the body. I think you're just going to wear yourself out. And I think that's where Arnold was coming from. That's my guess. That's my guess, at least. Do you still remember your very first competition? I feel okay, you're coming up on your first show, which is going to be next year. Yes. Stage fright. Center of attention. Okay. Matt, this is a great question. My first show, yes, I remember it very clearly because that was the first time I had a mini panic attack. Now, keep in mind what I do. I'm a registered psychotherapist. I know all about panic attacks. This came in handy. When did this happen? So what happens is when you're behind stage, there's a pump-up area. I was fine then. Practicing my posing, fine. Then they call you out because there's a line before you step on stage and of your category. As I was getting closer to being the front, I started, my heart started racing. I felt my breath was starting to get shallow. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I was like, this is weird. I'm like, I think I'm having a panic attack. So I'm doing this clinical thing of all the symptoms that someone has having a panic attack. I'm like, okay, yeah, I have shallow breathing. Like it was weird because I was like looking at myself from as a almost like a patient, like a client. I'm like, okay, you have this, you have this, you have this. And I'm going through it. I'm having these symptoms. And then I'm like, okay, my clinician had what goes, okay, this is what I tell you. So then I went and I was teaching myself what I would tell a client who had a panic attack. So Matt, remind me closer to the show. We will go over it and I will help give you a few strategies on what you can do to manage the anxiety before you step on stage for the first time. Keep in mind, it won't be just the first show. If you do more than one show, or if anyone's watching this, or you haven't done shows in a while and you're worried about going stage again, we can talk about how to manage that anxiety. I have some tricks up my sleeve on that one. But yes, I definitely remember my first panic attack in my entire life. My first, and I will say, only panic attack I've had was the first show. Have I had anxiety before? A little bit, but it was never a panic attack. But that was my first panic attack, was my first show. But it was actually, when I look back on it, that might have been the funniest moment, actually. It was funny because I was so detached. I'm like, what is going on with me? I wasn't freaking out. I was having a panic attack. I was like, what is going on? What are these feelings I'm having? Oh, check symptom. Okay, well, this is what you should be doing about it. It was just weird. It's just funny how I responded to that. Okay, it means semper. Okay, always faithful. I'm with you on size and structure too. I was a fan of show. Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. Yeah, Sean Roden. Bless you, Sean. I wish you had a chance to defend your title, and I wish you had a chance to defend yourself in court. So I actually did an email to the Olympia Don't know if it was ever read. No one ever confirmed it, but I did an email. I never told Sean this, and I saw Sean at the Dragon Slayer when I was there, and I kick myself for not telling him, even though nothing was done about it. I did not tell Sean that I emailed the Olympia asking them to please reconsider and letting him compete. Again, no one responded. And now, having said that, I do think I put in there, you don't have to respond. Just please let him compete. That I might I have to look up my emails if I did say that, but no one acknowledged it. But I do wish I told him that. Not that it made a difference, but just to let him know that he has so many people that were really rooting for him, like on that front, that he should have been able to compete. I would have wanted to work with him. Knowing what I know now, I really could have. I really, really could have helped Sean. I could have helped Cedric. I could have helped Luke Sandow. There's so many bodybuilders. I feel this is what gets me, guys. This is kind of what got me into this, is that there's so many bodybuilders out there still, even today, that I feel I could really help them, and they need this mental help. And I'm not saying they have mental disorders. They're struggling with various mental health issues, and I want to help them so they can bring their best to the stage. Cedric, definitely. Luke Sandow, like, and then Sean, I didn't know he was going what he was going through. And I love his physique. He had crazy genetics. By the way, I saw him in his off season. I'm like, how does this guy, who's like this big, get so this little, so friggin' chiseled? His abs, guys, his abs. They're so friggin' tight and deep, so deeply, sketched in. It was just amazing. And he was such a cool guy. No attitude, would talk to anybody, nicest guy you'll ever meet. So God bless you, Sean. Honest to God, God bless you. How did you feel when you were backstage for the first time? Can you approach people backstage, given it's like, okay, it depends. I'll tell you right now, backstage, people are a boatload of nerves, especially in prejudging. Because Matt, you haven't been to the shows yet, but there's prejudging and then there's finals. Prejudging, people are kind of in their heads. They're trying to focus on their posing, and they're working on their posing. You can't, you can do little chit chat here and there. Especially like for girls, we do this. We have to sit in these chairs and get our makeup done and our hair done. So sometimes we chat with each other a little bit. Now remember, we don't have money. We haven't carved up yet. Or we're super tired, because here's the thing. There are so many times, because women's physique tends to go on either first or right after bodybuilding, the women's bodybuilding, we have to get our makeup done first. I've had my makeup done at 2:30 in the morning, okay? 2:30, think about that, 2:30 in the morning, and the show's not till, let's say, 9 or 10 in the morning. So that means you're not getting much sleep. So that means when you're sitting in that little chair getting your hair and makeup done, you're falling asleep, by the way. You're not going to be necessarily chatty. But there will be a little bit of chit-chat. People are more likely to talk after prejudging is done. So when you're backstage before finals, there's a little bit more chit-chat. And you'll get an idea, because the people who don't want to talk, they'll kind of keep to themselves. They'll have their ear pods in. They'll kind of avoid eye contact. People that are starting to talk, that kind of gives you the idea of who's more open. It's a good question. Let's see. Okay, Dave, when my face got sunk in, you were ready. I used to hate it when people close to me would say I was looking ill. Dave, I avoid my mother for this reason. My mother thinks, and I think it's even to this day, every time I go into a prep and she sees me when I get really sunken in, she goes, Lesley, you have an eating disorder. Now, remember, I know what an eating disorder is. I help people with eating disorders. I don't have an eating disorder. If you saw the food I could put away, my coach shakes his head because he knows how much I can eat if allowed. He's like, Lesley, I don't know where you put it. I don't know, maybe I have a hollow leg, but I can put a lot of food away if left to my own devices, but let's not go there. Okay, so, sorry, what was the question? I want to make sure I read this. Okay, so yeah, looking ill. So yeah, my mother thinks I have an eating disorder when I get close to show. She hates that look. She likes me in my off-season look because I look healthier. So yeah. Promo, go heavier, go home. Agreed. It's important to train. If you're going to train hard. Do it right. RE, thank you so much. Hit that like for Lesley. Thank you. I really appreciate the likes. I'm trying to figure out how to boost the algorithm to get my name out there to more people so they can see stuff like this. Because I want to answer questions like you guys are asking live. I don't mind addressing them down below. But if I had further questions, or let's say I answer the question and someone has a further question to go on to that, I want to be able to do this. That's why I do this live. So once I retire, I'll probably be able to do more lives, but I'll get you all some more content too. Ari, thank you so much, by the way. Okay, yeah, I'm the same. I do about 20 to 25 minutes cardio warm up before training. When I'm active in the gym, it warms me up well and gets my heart going again. Jerry's advice to me. Yeah, it helps. For me, it definitely helps. Sean was railroad. Yeah, the powers that be may not really perspire. Well, he did win. See, here's the thing. Sean did win against Phil. I don't know if the powers of be that would have, even if he brought in even a better package, let's say against someone like Rami, I don't know. That if 100% Rami and 100% Sean Roden. See, here's the thing. I don't know what 100% Rami would look like, because he was not 100% last year. He looked the best he did the year before, and I was rooting for Rami to win the year before. And I'm so glad he won, because he deserved to win. He never brought in that level of conditioning. I feel Rami can bring another level of conditioning, and I would love to see what that looked like. So if I compared that with the best Sean Roden, who would I choose? I'd have to see it. I would want to see, could he get also a little bit more of a V-taper? Sean, would he put more muscle in? How would he develop? So that I don't know, but I do like a pretty structure in addition to muscle. That's my personal favorite. So yeah. Ancient One, nice to see you. Okay, what about adrenaline dumps before going on or while on stage? Are they an issue? Adrenaline dumps. Okay, Ancient One, what do you mean by that? Adrenaline dumps. Are you talking about before going on? Adrenaline. Are you talking about a fear before going on stage or when you're on stage? Or are you okay, give me, if you can expand on that a little bit, I want to answer your question. Okay, Dave, loving the show. Lesley, it's so much better than going to. Okay, thanks. I admit, nah. Okay, cool. Okay, I've gone the opposite direction when it comes to eating. I eat very little, a small breakfast sandwich and a banana for breakfast. Oh, I love bananas. And then a small snack and like dinner. Okay, Ari, I remember reading that you're supposed to have, and I'm not talking about in competition, but the idea is in the morning you eat like a king or a queen if you're a female. And then around lunchtime, what do you eat? Like it's basically your biggest meal of the day should be breakfast. And then lunchtime is moderate and dinner should be the smallest. And the reason for that is because in the morning, because you've had the night to fast because you're supposed to be sleeping, your metabolism is more revved up and then you have more time to use those calories. That's my understanding of why you eat the most during the morning. Now, more for me, because my training is typically late morning, early afternoon, that's when I have my biggest meals, is in the morning and then right after my last my post workout meal, and then it's low for the rest of the day. But I think it's actually healthier also for your digestive system if you don't eat too heavy. The only reason why I think some people might have bigger meals is, let's say if they have to let's say they do a weight training session in the evening. Let's say they have an early morning shift, or they have to get the kids, or depending on your lifestyle, they can't get their weight training workout until the end. I would recommend some carbs before. You can do a whey protein isolate shake beforehand if you don't have time and get your training in. But if someone wants to get let's say a dinner with a good protein carb fat combination, wait an hour and a half, maybe, depending on the workout, and then go do your training. That's why you might have a bigger meal at dinner time. But generally speaking, I think it is better for your digestion if you have a lighter meal in the evening, if you don't have to do a weight training session. So I think that's great, Ari. Let's see. Told me how important that is for your YouTube presence. Yeah, that's what I hear. I'm not an expert on YouTube by any stretch of the imagination, but that's my understanding too, is doing the likes and stuff. I don't know if there's anything else as far as boosting the algorithm though. Okay. You get the adrenaline spike, and then when the initial adrenaline excitement abates, you feel like crap in our post. Okay, that makes sense. So especially, Ancient One, this makes sense for when they do a lot of comparisons. So it's one thing if you only have to do the comparisons once, maybe twice, but when they have you up in the line and bring you back in, and then the guys or the women are being switched around, and then you have to go through it again and again. You could be up there for like 10 minutes, sometimes longer, doing comparisons, and you get tired. There was a show I did. There's so many things when I look back. I did a show where I did 5 categories. Okay, so it was figure and physique. Because of my age, I did open and masters. In figure, open and masters in physique, and one of them was a grandmasters. I forget which one was a grandmasters. That meant I went up 5 times. 5 times. Plus, there was the routine. Okay? I was so exhausted because a lot of them were back to back that I had to do this, that I lost steam. And I found out the hard way, because that's how I have to learn sometimes, is that to compete in too many categories is not necessarily healthy. Why? Because you lose steam. So for that point. And I didn't have time to carb up in between, because it was like you get off the show, then you're back on the next, because of the way I was competing, they were back to back. So yeah, you can lose adrenaline. So if you know that you're going to be doing that, you might want to change how your carb up strategy. And this is where having a coach that can help you with that would be good. Another thing I would recommend is when you practice your posing, and again, try to get a posing coach. When you're practicing your posing, it's not for 5 minutes. It's not for 10 minutes. When you're posing, you are posing for at least a half hour. Okay? Sorry, I'm just plugging my thing in because I got a low battery message. When you practice your posing, you get stronger. Initially, okay, remember, you're on low carbs. You're not going to have it. You build up tolerance to being able to get through your poses. With practice, you get a little stronger, and then you can maintain it. What you want to do is you want to build up through your posing practice your tolerance, so that when you're on stage, that 10 minutes doesn't feel like it's an hour. It feels more like it's 10 minutes. And how do you do that? You develop your tolerance, like I said, through the posing. That's my approach that I'm going to be doing with my upcoming shows. I'm going to be spending a lot more time practicing my posing and not doing this. Because what I had done in the past is I would practice it I would spend, let's say, a half an hour on my posing and a half hour on my routine, because I do because I'm women's physique. Right now I'm just doing women's physique. I'm changing that, so I'm going to do more time on my posing, and the routine. I take pride. I don't like to do a shitty routine. When I do a routine, it's my way of saying thank you to the fans. I know it's not judged. That's my way of saying thank you to the fans for coming to the show. Whether you're for me or for somebody else, I want to put on a little bit of a show for you. So that's what I do. So the posing routine, it takes whatever time it takes, but the posing, I'm definitely going to spend more than half an hour. and I can develop that tolerance. So if I'm up there doing comparisons for a long period of time, I'm gonna have the stamina to do it because I'm practicing for the stamina in my practice of my posing. Does that answer your question? I hope it does. If it doesn't, just shoot me a message below. As far as excitement and the anxiety, yes, 100%. You can lose the excitement because you're like, how long do I have to hold this pose for? Recollect yourself and focus on what you're doing. And that might include the mechanics. Am I squeezing every muscle? Am I contracting? Sometimes we forget about our belly. I've done this countless times. I look back on pictures and on my stage pictures, and I'm like, okay, in practice, I had my stomach in the whole time. Why on stage did I let my stomach go? Or why did I let my stomach go in my transitions? So in my posing, they were good. In my transitions, I let my stomach go. Okay. Takes practice, guys. We all make mistakes. It's learning from our mistakes. But as far as getting yourself refocused on what you're doing at the moment and what can I fix in my pose or what I'm doing right now? What am I about to do? What's the next pose they're going to call? Let's say you don't know what the next pose is because this is a comparison and they don't always go in order after you've done your quarter turns and your mandatories. They just call it certain poses. You focus, okay, am I still contracting this? What is my hamstring doing? What is my glute doing? What is my quad doing? Like, again, it's my stomach in, my shoulders back. Focus on everything. Do I have a smile on my face? Here's the other thing. Remember to smile. You might be in pain. Oh, another funny thing. I know you only asked me for one funny thing. The first time I cramped on stage, I was posing and I had this wicked cramp. And I was like, how am I going to get out of this? I was in so much pain. Oh, I'll tell you right now, always have magnesium, have some salt backstage, have some stuff. So when you cramp, you get that stuff in you. I mean, try to do it beforehand, but yeah, cramping is not fun. It's just not fun. But yeah, as far as the excitement or the adrenaline going down, it's refocusing on your job and to say, hey, if you're in the middle, that's usually that the in the lineup when they move people around, it's usually mean you're fighting for number one. You want to hold on to number one. Okay. So it's learning how to free focus and knowing that your placing is contingent upon this, and to say and this has to do some mental preparation I do with athletes. What's more important, you being tired and giving into being tired or winning? And it's really being conscientious of that at that moment. And that takes some mental training. So I help my athletes do that. That's a great question. Great question, each one. Ari, okay, yeah, I just can't use much anymore because not training still my okay. You know what? Yeah, when I find that, yeah, when I'm not training the way I train, my appetite goes down a little bit. Not a lot because I do have a big appetite in general, but it does go down. And have a great day. I'll be in touch soon via. Okay, awesome. Okay, you take care, Ari. Sorry you got hacked? Crap. Okay, no problem, TDM. Looking forward. Thanks for joining me, by the way. Okay. Also, subscribers and are also important for the algorithm on YouTube and doing podcasts or dropping videos. Quick tips, maybe. Okay. Dropping videos, even for quick tips, maybe a session you can do on a topic. Okay, yeah. You know, I've already done some quick tips on my videos, but if you have suggestions on specific quick tips on something specific, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know. We can always talk later for sure. I would love brainstorming. Thank you. Semper Fi. Thank you, TDM. And thanks for joining me and your support. I really appreciate it. Dave, okay. That's nothing. I turned up green. You turned up green? Dave, tell me about that experience. You turned up green? Okay, I need to know more about this green stuff. Ancient one, answered it great. Okay, I'm not at the always smiling stage yet, still mastering the not having a grimace. I try for the pleasant, aloof look. Ancient one, have you seen Ian Valier? he needs to work a little bit on his smiling. But you know what? I don't know necessarily if you're going to get counted down for not smiling. I just think, I think it's more also from, like, I don't know scorecards. Does it say whether you smile or not? Do you get a point for that or not? I don't think so. I'm not 100%, but I don't think so. So it's not a matter of you have to smile. I think it's also, it helps the audience kind of root for you because they want you to also see that you're having a good time. Even though you might be like, I can't wait this is done because I have some like fudge brownies in the back or something. Okay, so a little thing, and I don't know if this is just me or if you guys have had this experience. I always bring post-show treats with me in my suitcase backstage after the night show. So after the night show is done, we usually go out for dinner. But in the time between getting off stage, quickly changed, and before leaving the change room, I have something that's extremely unhealthy. Now, I'll also be chugging water because I'm really thirsty. But it'll be something unhealthy, but usually there's a high sugar content in it. I already asked my daughter. Mind you, I'm going to see her the day after the show, so this will be the after. My daughter makes a wicked carrot cake. And she makes these small, mini cinnamon donuts that are so good. So they're kind of like, for Canadians, do you know what Timbits are? There's little donuts. But they are so, because they're homemade, they're just so soft. They melt in your mouth. And I love cinnamon. And she makes these little cinnamon donuts. So I asked her to make cinnamon donuts and the carrot cake. Cannot wait. Now, I'm also a big chocolate fan, so I'll probably bring some chocolate confection. And I know this sounds weird. I don't know if you guys, okay, remind me, is there Costco in the States? I'm trying to remember. I already bought, for after my show, there's these things called Aussie Bites. And they're full of carbs. They've got nuts in them, raisins, various healthy seeds, but they're so high in fat. They're these, I can't, I'm trying to explain them. You have to Google them. But they're Aussie Bites. They're really, it's not chocolate, but it's really good. I could down like 8 of those easily, if not 10. But definitely not on my plan right now. But I'll probably pack a few of those for after the show. I'll have them the day after. But yeah, and cookies. So one of the sponsors for my show that's coming up in just under 7 weeks are Kai Kai Cookies. And you can pre-order as an athlete. This is on the website for the event. You can pre-order cookies. So at registration, so this is at the athlete meet. So basically the day before the show, you have to register. They will have your cookies ready for you. So after the show, you have these homemade cookies. And what I'll do is, I already called my hotel ahead of time. I already booked the hotel. They have microwaves, thank God. There's nothing like a microwaved warm cookie. I got to buy milk and a glass of milk after the show. Oh my goodness. Just the thought of that is just bliss right now. I have such a smile on my face just thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, homemade. And these are stuffed cookies. We're not talking about just a normal cookie. We're talking about these stuffed cookies. So stuffed cookies, quinoa bites, day after, donuts, carrot cake. Yeah, I'm going to be doing just fine. And yeah, I'll probably bring something chocolate. I'm not sure what. Don't have any clue, but I'll figure something out. Anyway, I can talk about food all day long. I talk more about food in prep than I do in my off season. It's so weird. But I won't touch it. I won't touch it. I have in my place, in my kitchen, in my cupboards, there is nothing crappy. The only thing that's in my cupboard right now that I'm not allowed to eat was almond butter, because I was allowed almond butter earlier. It's been removed. Now, I'm guessing I'm going to be allowed almond butter the day of the show. I don't know. If I'm not, won't bring it, but it's there. Haven't touched it. So I'm really disciplined that way on staying on track. So I'm very thankful for that. Pain like Bane, welcome. Oh my gosh, nice to see you. Great to see these lives grow. Good. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for your support. All you guys that are regulars, I really appreciate it, guys. It means so much to me. I got taught to smile as posing Kevin. Okay, grit your teeth tight together, hold it, and just move the lips. Breathe through the nose. Okay, Kevin, I gotta try that. Okay, grit your teeth. Okay, tight together, hold it, and just move. Breathe. Okay. You know what the thing is, Kevin, I tend to smile a lot. So normally I smile a lot. When I don't smile is usually when I'm training, because I'm usually grunting. And I've actually laughed at myself before after training, especially when I do something stupid. So, okay, let me tell you something I did that was really stupid. This was the cable machine. At the cable machine, they have these attachments where I removed one attachment because I was going to do a cable pullover. It was back day. So I needed a long bar. So the bar was attached. I attached the bar. Then I was going to move the pin to a heavier weight. And what happened? Because the pin was removed, the bar dropped on my forehead, and I had this nice little goose egg, and I had this big bruise on my forehead. If you look at enough videos, you'll see it in my videos. It's gone now, but it used to be right here. And yeah. And then the funniest part of that is that, and I did laugh, although it did hurt. And I'm like, how could I do that? There's a sign on the machine that says and I can't remember the wording of it, but it's like basically be careful because it can drop, on you. So it's happened to other people before. So I feel at least a little better. I wasn't the only loser who did that. So I've done a lot of silly things in my life. So you just gotta laugh and move on. Matt, okay, so based on your experience after newbie's first ever show, what is the likelihood of doing more shows, even if someone says it's their one and only show ever? Okay, yes, because I was that person. I'm only going to do this show, but end up doing a practice show 2 or 3 weeks before because I've never seen a show. That was a big mistake. And then I did my show. It was going to be done. I was going to be done. It was generally going to be a bucket list item, so it's going to be done because I started competing at the age of 45. Most people retire at that age. I started at 45. And then, yeah, so for people, I would say let's reevaluate after your show to see where you're at. If you want to continue competing, let's look at your why. Okay? And I mean the deeper why, your surface why and the deeper why. And then we'll go from there. We can go from there. Because I want you to be realistic. I have nothing against people who want to continue competing. If they're like, oh, I want to compete because I want to make it to the Olympia. I'm not against anyone who wants to train harder, have their dreams. But if you don't have the genetics, you have to be realistic that you may not get to the Olympia. And will you be okay with that? If you're not okay with that, let's really look at, like I said, your deeper why about why you're competing or why you choose to continue competing. Because for some people, it's a bucket list item, and that's okay. But it started with a bucket list item for me. It changed. Why? For me, and I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for why other people continued. I placed second twice. First show I placed second place. Second show I placed second. So I played second in my first 2 shows. Why was that a bad thing? Because I was this close to being number 1. And When I did my first show, I did not expect a place. I thought it was going to be last. I'm like, never done this before. I'm going to be last. So when I got second, I'm like, maybe I have something here. So then I got a taste of, I want to get better. Now, the girl who beat me in the second show totally deserved to beat me. I did not deserve to, and I knew it then. But I'm like, maybe if I trained a little harder, longer, I could beat someone like that. And that's when the bug started for me. Because I've always loved to train. I was never afraid of training. That was never my issue. In fact, I needed kind of a goal. And I would have people constantly come up to me in the gym, no matter what gym I went to. And they're like, what are you training for? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I training for? This is before I started competing. Are you doing a show? I didn't even know what they were talking about. So it's the way I train. I've always trained hard. This gives me an avenue to really express it. So that's for me. But we'll talk about your reason map closer to the time, okay? Write these questions down. They're great. They're awesome. Okay. Ancient one. My wife has 2 questions. Okay, cool. But I'm not sure they're right for this podcast. But I'm okay. That's okay. What would you suggest for vitamins, and if you suggest them for hair health supplements? Okay. Okay. Now, first one, Ancient one. Does your wife work out? Because a multivitamin for a female who trains, and I mean like weight trains, versus the regular person will be different. Hair health, I don't know actually for hair health supplements. What I find is helpful is unrefined virgin coconut oil. So if I would recommend, and this isn't just for females, by the way, Ancient one, coconut oil can be really good for your health. I know people who actually use it in their hair, like they literally put it in their hair. I know there's some hair care products that use coconut oil and puts it in there. For me, I have coconut oil, and I in my food, I'm allowed 1 teaspoon a day. So I put it on my rice. So when it melts, now I have the hard version. You can also buy the liquid version. Next time I'll probably get the liquid version from Costco, but I have the hard version. So it looks like lard, but when you melt it, it melts and it dissolves and it becomes clear. But for measuring, I take my little teaspoon, put it on the rice, microwave it, and it melts on the rice. And boy, coconut oil on rice tastes so good. So good. After having that, I'll never put butter on rice again. I love coconut oil. But because I'm eating it, I find that I think it does help the hair. Now, are there other things? I don't know. So I'm unfortunately, other than coconut oil, I'm not sure how to address that one, Ancient one. So, but that's a good question. That's a good question. Who might know the answer to that, actually? I mean, you can ask Dave Palumbo. He might know. He's a wealth of knowledge, so certainly ask him. Can't hurt. You can always ask a question. Guys, if I don't know the answer, I'm very honest, I'll tell you. That's a good question. Mark, welcome. Your cheeks are getting rosy just talking about it. Oh, are you talking about the food? Yeah. When I was talking about all the junk I'm going to be eating, yeah, it gives me a little happy little boost, because if I told you I was eating, like my next meal, I think actually someone was asking me I should show you guys what I eat. Okay, I should, actually, if you guys want to humor me, I'm going to show you my next meal is going to be. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this. Let's see if I can put it down here. This is my fish and peas. Now, the plate actually looks bigger, and so does the food, but this is 112 grams. I prefer cod, but it ended up being sole. And 70 grams of peas, raw peas. This is my next meal. Now it's cold, so I'm going to put this back in the fridge because I'm going to eat it after this. But That's one of my meals. So this is, and my next meal is going to be 70 grams of peas, and it's going to be 100 grams of extra lean ground beef. So it's not exciting, but, and I do have chicken, by the way, also. That's coming up later. But let me put this back in the fridge. I'll be right back. Tell me if you have any other questions about my food. Okay. There's a farm about 2 miles away, 90-year-old matriarch baked cookies. From the farm, baked cookies from a matriarch every week. Oh my gosh. No, you know what? You're right. I don't want to know the nutrition facts. Ancient one, how lucky. That would be so tempting. That would be dangerous. Very, very dangerous. But at my gym, they have Kai Kai's cookies in packages on the front counter that you can buy. And I just walk past them. Because it's like, nope. Right now I'm looking at it as one, I'll get my cookies and I'll choose the ones I want. They're going to be fresh on the day I'm allowed to have them. And nothing is getting in my way. And I'm not going to sabotage myself. So mentally, I'm in a good headspace. Yeah, Ancient One, I agree. Matab, that was a good question. Kevin, after show treat I loved is a product called Toffee Crisp Bars. Which, okay, is it chocolate covered Rice Krispies topped with toffee and covered in milk chocolate? Well, I don't know if we have that in Canada. Huh. Sounds good, though. Okay, Ancient One. The constant food talk is one of your most endearing qualities. Ancient One, honestly, I could talk about food all day. Okay, thank you, by the way. Okay, Dave, I remember warming up backstage with a bulwarker, not a good bulwarker. With almond oil on your hand. Needless to say, it slipped and gave myself a black eye. Oh, before going on stage, Dave, oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you. That's crazy. Were they able to get any tan on it to cut? Oh, I don't even know how you'd fix a black eye. Oh, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Okay, 6 days a week, hard cardio. Okay. Weight training program twice a year on top of the cardio. Yeah, she's looking for a female specific advice from you. Okay. All right. So this is okay. What I use. Let me show you. Okay, so for weight training twice a year. Okay, so 6 days a week, hard cardio. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you the multivitamin I use. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, now the one I normally use, I can't remember where it is. Sorry, they didn't have it in the store, so I ended up getting this multi one. So this is from Progressive. It's a multi. Now it's backwards actually because it's on my screen, so I don't know how to do this. But it's by Progressive. I got this at Popeyes. I don't know if you can see that, but it's this is the multi I use. It's basically these vegetable capsules that you take. But there's one, and it was in Popeyes, and it's specifically for women. If you ask Popeyes for athletic women, what's the multivitamin that you recommend? And if she tells me what it is, then I can verify if that's the one that I normally use. And we can go from there. But I do recommend specifically a multivitamin for women. And again, I got it at Popeyes for athletic women. And I find it does, I think that's better than just your regular multivitamin for a regular person. So I hope that helps. We eat lots of coconut and mustard oil. Okay, cool. Is the coconut oil unrefined virgin coconut oil, ancient one? Just curious. Okay, how much carbs is that amount of peas? I don't calculate the carbs. I literally just follow the plan. So my trainer gives me a plan of what I'm eating, and he doesn't necessarily say 70 grams peas. He says 70 grams veggies. So I get to choose whatever veggie. So sometimes it's peas. I also have some sugar snap peas. Sometimes I'll have some cauliflower. So it's not always the same veggie. It's just today was peas. But I do different veggies. I try to vary it. The only veggie I don't do is broccoli. And the reason why is two reasons. One, broccoli really bloats me. And two, I think I had so much broccoli the first 12 years of my show. In fact, it was more than 12 years. I got sick of broccoli. And it's not that I can't eat broccoli. It's just you overdo the same veggie for too long. It's just you get tired of it. It's kind of like chicken. Because I have chicken, right now I have chicken twice a day and I have fish twice a day. So when I go out to a restaurant, I'm not going to order chicken. And I won't order fish. And it's not that I don't like chicken. It's not that I don't like fish. It's just that because that's my meal plan and I have the same meal, remember, 7 days a week for many months of the year. So if I go out to eat something different, I don't want to eat the same thing that I've been eating. I don't want to eat chicken. I don't want to eat, I don't even eat salad because I have salad every day. And it's not that I dislike salad. It's just like if I go out to have something different, I want something different. That's just for me. So I don't know the number of grams in the carbs of the peas, but I just know I don't know the number of carbs, but I know it's 70 grams. Okay, she takes, animal, women's right now, but she's wonderful. There's a better, I don't know if there's a better choice. Let's see. Who's female that could, again, Dave might know, but as far as, even if you contact Popeyes or a good supplement store, ask them, what I would say is probably ask them, they're, the top ranking women's multivitamin, and then do kind of your own research on that. Another, let's see, who else might know? Animal is a good product though. Product line. Yeah, I don't know if there is a better choice, Ancient One. I wish unfortunately, I'm not an expert on that kind of stuff. Sometimes I end up getting whatever's on sale. Now, another good multivitamin that's not necessarily women related, but is sports related, is a product line. It's Yamamoto Nutrition. They're really, really good. If I could be sponsored by Yamamoto, that would be a dream for me. They are top notch when it comes to every supplement. Really, really high quality, but they're super expensive. So yes, you have to pay for quality, and I understand that. But when you have a budget, when you got to pay for all this other stuff, you have to be careful what you, how much you spend on what. But because I did go with Yamamoto for a long time actually. But I had to start cutting back on a few things, just to kind of make it so I could do my budget for the Olympia for this year, and make some other choices. So yeah, I couldn't do Yamamoto, but I love Yamamoto. It's honestly, if I could do one supplement line, that would be it. And they do have a good multivitamin. So Yamamoto Nutrition, and they do deliver. I'm in Canada, and the issue is, the paying the customs and all that stuff on top of it, and then the exchange rate. But it is good quality. They do deliver all over the world. But Yamamoto Nutrition, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. All types, oil, Indian, Caribbean food, so coconut oil is all. Okay, cool. Mark, okay, thanks, Lesley, for making the work day go by much quicker with these weekly sessions. Love the knowledge. And thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. And Mark, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to address them. You guys make this, when you guys ask questions, it's great because then I can really focus on what you guys want to hear. Because sometimes maybe what I want to talk about, you're like, Lesley, I have no desire to hear about that. Or this is kind of boring, or, can we change the topic? Okay. I love this interaction. I love it. My boss. Okay, Dave. You know what, Dave? If I call you Mark in the future, forgive me because I just go by names, but I'll try to remember this is Dave, at least for today. So you hijacked your boss's account. The fact that you did that to join me live means so much. That's awesome. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. But again, if you guys have any questions at all, please do. Yeah, isn't that hilarious, ain't you one? I've never heard it. That is such a compliment. How many people would hijack someone, especially their boss's account, to come to, of all people, my lives? That's awesome. That's like the best. You know what? For people who have 1 million subscribers, this tops it. I would rather have quality subscribers than the number. See, I know a lot of, and I'm not saying it's not good to have a lot of subscribers, but I'm just saying I'd rather have people who are more dedicated and really get, interest out of this content and can give me some ideas so I can give you the content that you're looking for, having this interaction and have a smaller number of subscribers. Because to me, you guys are elite. Because, and this is not to put necessarily other podcasts down, because I do listen to other podcasts. There's a lot of podcasts that I think are very, very valuable. But there's these, there are some channels where I think it's, they have their own lane, and that's great. That's not my lane, but I want to really help people make this an educational. It can be fun too. As you tell, I put some fun stuff in there. I tell my embarrassing kind of things, whether I get whacked in the head and give myself a goose egg or whatever. I'm happy to talk about that. But I want this to be interactive, and I want you guys to get an idea of who I am. I can get a bit of idea who you guys are. One day, if we can actually meet, I would love to have a booth. I don't know if the Olympia, that wouldn't be this year, but, let's say if, or in Vegas, I'm going to be in Vegas the beginning of November, and I'm going to be in Vegas for probably 6 months. I'll be training at the Dragon Slayer. So if you guys are in Vegas, let me know, and maybe we can connect and we can say hi, maybe get a training session in. It'll be fun. I like to meet now. I have, my fans. I love you guys. That's awesome. Like I said, I'd rather have a smaller group and have them be quality people. So you guys are what I call the elite class. You're the elite class. You're not just subscribers. You're the elite class. I just want to express my appreciation. Really really appreciate you guys. It means a lot to me. So I'm going to probably wrap up because I should probably have my next meal, my lovely fish and my peas. So I'm going to have my meal. I should probably throw some laundry in too while I'm at it. But thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. You made this time fly by. And I think we got some good content. Like I said, I will be working on that video on the Sports Anorexia, the Hypergymnasia. It will go out Friday morning. So that will be up. And the next live chat will be, as always, next week, Monday, as soon as Iron Therapy is done. I always like to say it's around 2:30, but it depends on when Dave and I start. Sometimes we start Dave likes to, is kind of busy and he has to wrap things up. So we start the show a little bit later than 2 o'clock. So, but as soon as that's done, I come on here and we start chatting. So join me live every Monday. If there's ever an exception to that, I will make a post and let you guys know, but it's going to be every Monday right after Iron Therapy. I do this live. So again, thank you guys for joining me, and any ideas for topics, please post it. Well, since I'm going to be ending the chat, put it in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, blah, blah, blah. Let's grow the elite club. But yeah, you guys are special to me. So again, thanks so much. Thanks, guys. And enjoy your food and dream about cookie delights. Yes, I will go into my little mental sugar coma pretend land for sure. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and remember to keep your mental game on.